Hey guys, how's it going? Another live stream. We are mopping up the last of our jobs that we have in the shop so that we can get back to work on channel stuff. We've had a couple uploads, but I still haven't really had the time that I want to work on like big, high production laser everything videos. We've got a lot of requests for videos that people want to have done. We have a lot of stuff that we want to do. And I can't really sit and focus on that until the rest of this crap's out of my way. So here we are. We're going to knock a couple things out as quickly as we can. Trying to think. So what are we doing today? We have some ABS cased solar panel boxes. We have some fake brass. I don't even know what this is, honestly. It looks like nice enough metal when you're looking at it, but then when you flip it over, you see that, and that's concerning, right? So we're gonna have to be really gentle with this. It's like an urn thing. It like hangs on an urn. It's not a necklace. That's morbid. And then we have a bamboo like box top. It's like a lid to a top. Simple stuff. It should be pretty straightforward. Rick is correct. It is good to see everyone. We've got E3 here. Rick's here, of course. We have Kyle and Mark. Dean is here. What's up, Dean? Good to see you again, man. So yeah, we can get started on this right away. I'm getting text messages from China. Sorry, I got to answer these. So. What's up, Chris? Let's get started. And we will start with this very sketchy looking, poorly plated urn thing. It's an Amazon Direct special, so it is, Amazon. But it should be fine. I'm assuming like nickel or zinc or some combination of the two. It's got imperfections in the surface and some kind of clear coat over whatever they use to paint it. So really low power on this one just to get started. We have the order form somewhere. Order form, one of the last ones. Jimmy's here. What's up, Jimmy? What's up, Javier? So they have a few different renditions of this. The one that they actually want is circled there. So we're going to do our best to reproduce this. It says font choice and email, so we should probably take a look at the email. Have you seen the font choice?
I sure have. It's in the email.
All right. Is it under David?
Yeah.
David. Miranda's here, everybody. David Borkholder. Script.png, is that it?
Yes. You just clicked out of it, but he did put century or similar.
We'll probably...
And he even put font sizes, but you're probably going to ignore those because
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to apply.
So these are very different. Does he want it to be as close to this as possible? Let me switch the screen over so you guys can see as well.
Yeah.
So, because I can just trace this, do you think he would be happy if I just traced that? Or do you think he wants it more like this one?
That's a good question, actually, because those are dramatically
They're
different.
dramatically different. I can start on the UV if you want to reach out to him.
Yeah, let me reach out to him and see, because these are very different from what he originally sent me in an email.
Yeah, I mean, either one of these can be traced easy enough, and then he'll get exactly what he wants, and we don't have to worry about fonts at all. We can just skip that entire process. Welcome to life in the laser engraving business, everyone. This is what it's like. It's 24 viewers now. Mr. E, what's up?
Oh, okay, we can carry on.
Okay.
With the one he circled.
With the one he circled.
Yeah, I just reread the email. He said, name and engraving, probably 18 font lines, 2 and 3 in century or similar. So that's what he's talking about.
All right.
So let's just go with the one he circled.
Excellent. So that's going to be this one right here, guys. And we're going to start by dumping this image into Photoshop so we can upscale it. This is Illustrator, and my computer's doing this weird thing where when applications go full screen, it's hiding my start menu. So if you see me doing weird stuff with the windows, that's why. I'll fix it later. We're in the middle of a stream. Here I'm working on some designs for kind of mock ads for the new Laser Everything Marketplace. It's not open for business yet, but if you want to check it out, it's over at shop.lasereverything.net. It's coming along really well. And I would welcome any and all of you to sign up if you'd like to add your products to it. Let's see, we gotta open the email back up. Let's actually download. Let's actually download this to our desktop here. And we'll go ahead and bring this into Photoshop manually. See if I can find it. Here it is. This is all stuff that I've been building for the marketplace, but we will talk about that later. So this is the one that's circled on the paper right here. So that's the one we're going for. I inadvertently dropped this into Illustrator. So we actually need to upscale it in Photoshop first. So let's get Photoshop open again. There we go. And we will find it and drop it in the gray up here. And that looks pretty good. So let's upscale first. It's already 300 DPI, which is nice. So we should get a nice clean upscale. We'll add a little bit of area to this. And then we're going to crop in on this and threshold it so we get nice white and black values. It's all pretty straightforward, guys. If you've been watching the streams, you've probably seen me do this before. So we are just going to crop in on it here. And image adjustments, threshold, right? We've done this many times together. And we are going to save this so that we can bring that alone into Illustrator. So there it is. And now that this is 600 DPI and has some good measurements on it, we should be able to trace it easily, and we can. Get rid of that white, select same fill color, and group it. So there we are, vector artwork done. Super easy, right off the customer's page, so we know that's exactly what they want. The next thing we need to do is take some measurements really quick. Since we're kind of projecting this, we want the actual straight dimensions. We don't want to measure the curved distance. We want the literal distance straight across this.
I brought one too.
Oh, prepared. Is the bamboo top ready to go? Yeah, we could turn the mirror on soon too. So, all right, just right off the bat, guys, I already hate this. I do. The top and bottom ridges on this, like, they're not uniform. So where the cut-ins come on each corner are different. So what we're going to do, what we want to do here, is we want to just measure, let me see, everything's backwards. We want to just measure from this point here out. We don't want to measure from the actual ridge wall there. We're going to start it right about here, and we're just going to take those corners completely out of the equation. That's the only good way to deal with things like this. Alex Gillette asks a very important question. Are you shutting down the entire business? No more lasering. We're going to be lasering all of the time. We might actually be lasering more, but it will be for the channel instead of for customers. So we're going to handpick the stuff that we're going to do to teach specific things instead of just kind of haphazardly taking whatever ends up coming across our desk. So the channel certainly isn't going anywhere. It's just the business is taking too much time away from what we want to be doing here with the channel. And the channel's more important to us. So we're just too busy. I mean, I've got a literal pallet of stuff over here that has taken me like weeks to get through, and it's taking too much time, and we can't make the content that we want to make as well as the business is doing, as much money as it's making. It's just not what we want to spend our time doing now that we have the channel. So there will absolutely be daily lasering happening here. I mean, look at these machines. We have so many machines. We're not simply going to just walk away from all of it. We just want to spend more time doing channel content for you guys. So quick measurement. Again, we're just cutting out those corners. I really want to demonstrate this. We are not paying any attention at all to those funky corners. These measurements are happening, oh my God, this is so hard backwards, from here to here, right? So I'm not including those weird corner bits. We're just taking that straight, non-cornered area, and that's what we want our measurement to be of. So we're going to open this up. 57.3 millimeters. So I'm just going to create a new box in Illustrator. You guys have seen me do that as well 100 times. 57.3 millimeters. And we need a quick height. Reset our caliper, get a height. I'm going to be a little conservative on this. We don't want to be quite edge to edge. 16.4 tall. So there's our box, and I will switch you guys back over to the desktop. There it is. Let's see. Norbert is asking, will you downsize on the equipment or keep them all? We will likely keep everything in our arsenal that we have so far. We have 2 fiber lasers, a low wattage and a high wattage, so that covers us on both of those bases as far as helping people with settings and stuff. We have 2 of the Laser Master, or TUR rather, diode lasers, which will allow us to do diode content. We've got the CO2 Galvo and the UV, which of course allow us to do organics and plastics. We've got the 2 Gantry CO2 machines, a low end and a high end, so that gives us coverage there. So we'll probably keep everything that we have, just to allow us to make the range of content we want to be able to produce on the channel. Mark says, you might think about having a work surface camera just for illustrating things like that so you don't have to hold the workpiece up and do it backwards. Yeah, I want to set something like that up. The ceilings in here are like super duper high, and I don't want to like run some kind of like pole or stiff arm down from the rafters, because it would just be a big mess. So what I really need is like another kind of crane system that can just hang over my head hooked up to a webcam. It's on the to-do list. We'll definitely get to that. Norbert just got the Ortur Laser Master 2 Pro. Good, you probably got the S2 version, which is very nice. Again, the business has been keeping me from making the content I want to make, but I do want to do diode content. I do want to use that machine to do it. So you should be able to see some of that soon, because they really are cool little machines. They're a lot of fun. Use a microphone boom to mount the camera to. Yeah, totally. We could definitely do that. I think I'm out. We've got 2 for the lights. I've got 1 over here for the shotgun mic for when we do podcasts and stuff. So I need another one. It's just going to be booms all around my head, but that's okay. Anyway, back to the job. So desktop, this needs to go in that box. Shift click to pull up the fill color. We'll set it to no fill, and let's set our outline there just so we can see what we're doing. This is already the size that we want it to be, so we don't want to change it. We've already grouped our text, so we can just drop that in there. I'm going to hold Alt here. Alt lets you skew from the center rather than from the corner, so Alt and Shift to maintain our aspect ratio. We'll go ahead and put that in there at a size that feels more or less appropriate. And then I say this one a lot, but this is a really important tip. So if I shift click to the box and we don't want the box to go anywhere, let's say it's like, lined up to other things. If you just click the box again, it makes it the active object. So it'll move whatever it is we're trying to center to the active object. So now we can go center, center. The box doesn't move at all. The text is right in the middle. Depth considerations on this. We might make this text a little bit smaller just because of the amount of curve that we do need to cover here. That's fairly curved. And we have some long lenses in our lens arsenal that we can use to defeat a curve like this. Even so, that's a fair curve right there. It does cause a little bit of concern. So we'll probably just shrink the text up a little bit. The arc of the bracelet is absolutely a factor. And that's why we're going to shrink our text just a touch, just to make it less challenging than it actually needs to be. So yeah, Mr. E, absolutely. Good thought, really important. I don't want this to be ridiculously small. So we're gonna have to use a larger lens, right? Because this would look stupid. And we don't want it to look stupid. I think this is perfectly appropriate. We'll go ahead and save this to the desktop real quick. We'll just call it urn bracelet, I guess. It's not an urn and it's not a bracelet, but that's the best description of what it is we're working on right now. I've got the 60 watt M7 hooked up right now. The reason we want to use the 60 watt is because you need a fair bit of power to drive larger lenses. And we want to use the biggest lens we can, not because we actually need a 12 or 8-inch workspace, but because we need the extra depth of field that it affords us. We've been talking about this a lot on streams lately, and it's an important concept for people to understand. But in order to drive those larger lenses effectively, even if you're only using them for depth, you still need more power. So the 30 watt could probably get away with it, just kind of like eking across the surface, but we don't want to mess with that. We want a larger lens. Right now we've got the 300 in there. It's probably a little overkill. In fact, I'm going to take it out because a lot of you guys can't drive 300 millimeter lenses with the wattage available to you, at least not with any ablation effect. So we're going to pull that and we'll just go the next step down. I think it's a 250. I'm going to have to just kind of filter through my lenses. That's an f225, which would be a 150. It's a 63. That's way too shallow. That will never get around the curve. What are you? A 254 would be the 175. That's an option. That one we could actually use. F100, not even close. F160, not even close. That's kind of the standard 110 lens that is not going to cut it for us. 330, F330, perfect. That's exactly what I was looking for. The F330 will be a 200-ish millimeter lens. I don't have the conversion off the top of my head. Around 200 millimeters. Might be exactly 200 millimeters. 200, 220, somewhere in there. Will be a great example. You can use a 220 realistically on 30 watts and up. 200-ish millimeters is really pushing what you can get away with a 30 watt laser, but I really would like this demonstration to apply to everybody, not just people with super high powered lasers. So we will get some ablation with this lens, even on a system like a 30 watt. I'm far away from my computer and my eyesight's not that good, so I can't read chat at a moment, but we'll take a look at that in a second. So you guys can see the bed. I'm going to switch you over to the EasyCAD camera, which I have here. Man, I love this, the wireless lav setup. Makes it so much easier to talk to you guys. Don't you fall. Don't fall. Okay. Let's catch up on chat. E3, I know you were closing your business, but is it possible for someone else at some point to still show us how the ins and outs of a laser business operation goes? Yeah, we have a ton of staff members that'll be covering topics like that on Laser Everything Else. And I've been doing this for like 8 years, so I'm still gonna make content about it. I'm pretty good at it. The problem with the business is that we're too busy, so we'll still be chatting about that on a fairly regular basis as well. So we're still gonna be serving. Yeah, and we're still serving customers. Yeah, we aren't shutting down the business. We're just making it really difficult for people to find us so that we're not constantly bogged down with work that isn't the YouTube channel. So the customers that we like, that we really enjoy interacting with, and whose projects are fun and interesting, will still be calling us and we'll be still taking their work. It's just gonna come in at a trickle pace instead of a torrent 24/7 that we can't keep up with. So, you know, and after Coraline's a little older and the channel's a little more stable, we might actually hire somebody to come in and do work here. We just don't have time to train them right now. We just don't have time to train them. We're too busy. So when we have a little more time, maybe 6 to 12 months from now, we could bring someone in, train them to actually use this equipment like we do for you guys, and have them running more consistent jobs that we can then come in kind of cherry pick for the channel, but we're just not in a place to do that right now. So, you know, it's not the end of the road for the laser business. I want to make that really clear. It's just, we're turning the faucet down to a trickle for a little bit until we kind of get caught up and we get the channel where we want it to be, we get the marketplace to where we want it to be, we get the LMA to where we want it to be, and then we can start maybe bringing somebody in, training them how to do it so they can take over more jobs. So hopefully that answers your question. Alex, have you been happy with the SFX? Yeah, absolutely. Kalo is a really nice guy. I didn't like the Jolly Star lens that shipped with this machine. That's another thing that I say a lot. Again, we've been so busy here at the channel that I haven't really had time to just publish just a straight up review video. But if I were to do it right now, the review would be largely positive. I would pay money for this machine. They sent it to me for free, but I would spend money on it to continue to have it. I don't know if I would buy it over my Mactrons. Mactrons make basically the same exact unit with the 60 watt M7 source inside of it. That said, you know, there's nothing wrong with it. It's not a bad machine. I'm a big brand loyalty guy. I really like my Mactron machines. The SFX is great. It's been a lot of fun to use. It's worked perfectly. I've opened it up. We did the EasyCAD 2 downgrade video on the SFX, so if you want to see the internals, you can check that out. And a lot of people just want a laser they can buy off Amazon. And if that's your goal, then the SFX is a great choice. Just be prepared to, having a stroke, be prepared to purchase some new lenses for it, because I really hate that Jolly Star lens that came in the machine. It was awful. But yeah, Steven's been awesome. Steven, we love Steven. Shout out to Steven. We love you, bro. So anyway, we've been talking a lot and not working. So let's work. I'm going to switch you guys over to the EasyCAD camera here so you can see the bed. There it is. Very exciting. Perfect, pretty much. So we have this weird thing. The urn bracelet is kind of weird shaped. It's not just arced. It's also kind of like twisted. I think chips are the best way. I mean, it doesn't even sit flat when you hold it like that. There's definitely like some loss in pitch there. So cardboard chips, guys. Cardboard chips are the way. If any of you know what this material is called, please tell me, because I would love to order a sheet of it and cut more of these chips. I'm running out. They came as spacers in a set of pens that I had to engrave. There's some kind of like pressed particle cardboard. I don't know what they are, but I want a sheet of it. It's fairly thick, about 2 millimeters thick. I would love to chop more of these up to use for jigging, because we use them all the time. They're great, and I just haven't had any luck finding the actual material that they use for them. It's like the inside of a shoebox, but thicker. I don't really know. So that's too low. Are you too tall? No. So we could either just pop this under there and we can pressure fit it to raise the back end up as high as we want it to go, or we could just add another chip, which is generally how I like to do it. We're using the corner because the fat end would be way too big. You could also try to like balance it like this, but that kind of recreates the problems we were having before. Or we could take two of them and do the corner separately, which might actually be the way to go. That looks pretty good, but now the front end is up too much. And we're just gonna end up going back to where we were. Perhaps the pressure fit wooden block might just be the best method to deal with this. I'm not even gonna bother with a level. I'm just gonna eyeball it because this thing is so not symmetrical that it's really pointless. You're just gonna be leveling one section of it and the rest of it's gonna be off anyway. We also have kind of like a smile shape here. So it starts kind of up and curves down and then curves back up very slightly, but it's something we want to be aware of when we're doing our lineup. Next we have to focus. Let's see, let's get an answer on this lens because I know I've got the right stick for it. Okay, 220, so there it is, the 220. I don't have any other lenses in the 200 millimeter range, so this is the focal stick for the job. And when we focus, we really want to focus to one of the edges. You know, something like this, not quite like way down here. That's a little overkill. But we also don't want to focus to the center because the lowest parts of this are going to be out of focus, especially on the 200. If you have the 300 at your disposal, the 300 would be the better lens for this job. I just want to make that really clear. We're kind of making this more artificially difficult for ourselves than it has to be, just for demonstration purposes. I'm going to focus about halfway down the curve here. Make sure that your focal stick is nice and straight. You don't, you know, measuring focus at an angle isn't accurate. So that looks pretty straight to me. And with that done, we can head into EasyCAD and bring in our stuff. Can you measure the thickness of that cardboard and share it? I can locate some. I just need to make sure that they carry that thickness. Miranda's checking. 2.4 millimeters is the thickness on that.
Maybe compressed, though.
Yeah, it may be compressed. Something in that ballpark. Maybe even just a touch thinner. I really do enjoy the rigidity of it. So that's what's important to me more than the actual thickness measured. But, you know, either way. I do not have the Lightburn drivers installed right now, nor do I have correction profiles for Lightburn because they haven't completed lens corrections, native lens corrections yet, and we can't use core files. So since this is a job for a customer, we will be using EasyCAD today. As much as I'd like to show you all the cool stuff they've been adding to Lightburn, I don't have correction profiles right now, and that's really going to interfere with customer work. So not quite there yet, but soon, I promise. We did save this. So I opened this just to make sure we saved it. Earn bracelet, that's right. So we will come to import. I believe I saved it to the desktop. Earn bracelet, and we'll open it. So there it is. We'll center it up. You can see we're on this giant 200 millimeter workspace here. Way overkill, but again, we want it for the depth more than anything else. Have you ever used a 220 or 250 lens? Yeah, we're using the 220 literally right now. I don't own a 250, but I'm sure it's fine for, again, applications where you need a lot of depth of field or, you know, a larger workspace, just straight up. I'm sure they're fine as long as you have a laser capable of driving it. So we have our text, which isn't really text, it's vectors, right? Because we expanded it in Illustrator. If you haven't already watched the artwork prep video that we did for the channel, you should go watch it. We get more into this. Alex Gillette says, try chipboard from Amazon for that. I tried it from CloudRay, and it was very thin and floppy and didn't meet my needs, but we can certainly take a look at some Amazon listings for that because that would be cool. So anyway, we have our vectors, which look like text. Again, not text, and text rendering in EasyCAD is absolute trash, so avoid it at all costs, literally all costs. Build your text in some kind of external program. We're going to group it together, and then we're going to hatch it all at once. I don't know if I've ever explicitly shown this on the channel, but if we don't group this stuff together before we hatch it, you are going to have all kinds of problems. I just grouped it again from muscle memory because I do it so often. This feels so bad, but if I just go ahead and hatch this, actually it's looking okay right now. It's good practice to group your text before you hatch it. It's unpredictable, that's the problem. Grouping it, much more predictable. There we go. Let me think. So we just need to do a lineup really quick. Here's our box. It might be a little big the way we have it right now just because of that curve again, right? Where we've drawn a straight box, but really our piece is making kind of like that smiley face, and that's going to be an issue. We'll see that in a moment here. But for now, this will be fine. Again, the taskbar is like hiding the bottom of my windows. So let's go ahead and light this and just see what it looks like. Hey, that's awesome. I'm glad to hear a couch potato day has arrived for you. That's always exciting. Here is our box. It's a little small because we're wrapping it around the curve and we measured it straight, but that's okay. We're all right with being a little small. A little too small is better than a little big. There's only so much that we can do here, guys. Again, this is not symmetrical in any way. You really can't pretend that it is. So, you know, align by hand. That's the prescribed method of dealing with this, is that we just kind of have to eyeball it and hope that it's close. I think that we're there, or at least close enough that the customer will find it acceptable. Yep, service is on Saturday, so they don't have a ton of options. Miranda says, we really need to get another Movo for you so that you can add commentary in the background while we're chatting.
About how we spoke to this customer about how we cannot guarantee results because of the nature of where the product is purchased.
Yeah, that's true. Miranda went back and forth with the customer many times because they wanted guaranteed results on this. And that is actually a really good segue into what we're about to talk about, which is settings. But they really, really wanted to know exactly how this was going to look before it came out. And we just don't know what it's made out of. We have no idea. We have no idea what this is made out of. And so I can't tell you what's going to happen when we blast through whatever method they used for coating the outside of this bracelet thing. So, you know, we essentially said no. We were like, I'm sorry, we can't tell you how it's going to look before it comes out. Again, I can guess, we can speculate about the composition of the material underneath this paint, but we don't know. And so we need to start very gently with this, and we'll take a look at that now. So there's our outline. We're done with you. Make sure that your text is nice and centered. Let me actually paste. Yeah, okay, so see how, this is a big problem too. This happens to me all the time. I center it up. I like where it is, right? Then I cut it. I need to do something else, and I paste it back in, and it's way up off center. If that ever happens to you, very easy to fix. It's very similar in EasyCAD 3. All you need to do is come up to the system parameter settings, and right here on the main page, we have our paste X and paste Y. They're both set to 1 millimeter. So it's going to go positive on the X-axis 1 millimeter and positive on the Y-axis 1 millimeter every time you paste. I don't like that functionality. I want it to paste exactly where I picked it up from. So we can just set those both to 0. And now if I center this up and we cut it and we paste it, it drops right back in the center. So that drove me nuts for a long time. And I never knew how to fix it despite the simplicity of the solution. So that really does the trick. So check that out. But anyway, so let's talk about settings. You know, here's the LMA parameter library. Usually for unknown metals, I actually like to go with the brass general setting. And while 0% of me is actually convinced that this is truly brass, we're still going to start with brass general because it's one of the more gentle metal settings that we have at our disposal. At 1500 speed, it's moving pretty quickly. This 50% power here is for a 30-watt laser. This is my unaltered 30-watt LMA parameter library. So we're actually going to cut down on that power a little bit. In fact, we're going to half it because we're on a 60-watt laser right now. So 1500 speed, 25 power, 25 frequency. The max pulse output frequency for this machine is 45. So if we really wanted to slam it, we'd hit it around 45. If we really wanted to approach this super cautious, we could bump this up to something like 100, which is really going to lower our pulse output. But I'm not that scared. I mean, we need to be a little careful, but we don't need to go crazy. Something like 25 is going to offer a little less than optimal power output, which should protect us from, you know, melting through the thing if it's plastic. And that's about it. I haven't saved my new timings from the laser timing video. If you haven't watched that, go watch that right away. Stop watching the live stream, I would say, and go watch that right away. That's how important it is, where we find the timing values for our lasers. I haven't saved over this brass general setting yet with the new timing values, so I'm just going to plug those in really quick. So we have a polygon of 150. Let's see, we've got a laser off of 175 and a start TC value of 75. So really quick, I'm going to go ahead and save over my brass parameter with my new timing settings just to make sure that doesn't, we might miss that next time. So we want to make sure that those are set correctly when we're getting started. So what's left to do? I don't know. Preview the text. Make sure that it doesn't look ridiculous when we preview it with the red light. So we'll light that up. We'll take a look over here. It's a little hard to see for you and for me, but it looks fair. If anything, it's a little bit small. I think we could go a little bit larger with this. I recall that earlier we said we're actually making it a little bit smaller to make sure that we could defeat the curve, but I think we just went a little overkill. Something a little bit larger should be acceptable. Let's light that instead. So here it is, just slightly larger. Again, I know difficult to see for everyone, including me, but I think it looks pretty good. We could get really in depth about like actually bending the text on an arc to match the arc of this, but the arc of this isn't, again, symmetrical, and it's just going to lead to a bunch of problems. So I'm just going to mark it straight. This is how I do business. So with that done, let's go ahead and mark it. So one last time, guys, we will just review our settings really quick. We're starting, and this is on the 60 watt M7 from JPT. 1500 speed, 25 power, 25 frequency. We have our correct timing settings in place. Over here, if we take a quick look at the hatch, laser everything standard, guys. There's nothing weird over here. Only hatch 1 is enabled. We're using all calc. We've got a cross hatch on. Let's do our opposing 45s that we usually do. So we'll get 45 and negative 45. And our normal old boring line distance of 0.025. That's it. No tricks, unidirectional hatch. Everything is pretty straightforward. So with that done, let's go ahead and mark this and see how it comes out. I am too, just one more second. I know we keep saying we're going to mark it, but I am going to just pop the exhaust on because we don't know what kind of paints or coatings they're using on this. And I've breathed in enough chemicals in my time doing this that I don't really feel the need to add to it. And I kind of have a sneaking suspicion that this is going to smoke when I start it. So let's just get the exhaust going, and then we'll go ahead and hit the mark button. Okay, so is this a great start? No. Not a great start, but we haven't melted it or set it on fire, which means that we can make improvements. If anything, this shows that we are too low on the power. And if we have to be too low or too high, we want to be too low. We can always add power, but we can't take it away. So that's not a big deal. We'll go ahead and let this finish. We'll bump it up a little bit. Why is it doing this? Probably, if I had to guess, because of the clear coat, whatever kind of plastic, weird clear coat they have on that is reflecting too much of the laser light. So let's go ahead and bump it up. We have been given liberty to come in here and try something a little beefier. Aluminum General should do the trick. That's 1,000 speed, 80 power, 25 frequency. Again, we're gonna half it, so we'll cut this down to 40. So we're going basically up in power from 25 to 40. We've reduced our speed down to 1,000 from 1,500. Everything else is gonna stay the same. Please note that my timing settings have reset again because the wrong timing settings are saved to this parameter. So we're going to overwrite those as well. And we'll just save over that in the library. I've just been kind of slowly updating these as I go along. So that's good. And with our new, more powerful setting, we can run this again. and see how it goes. I can hear it now. It's definitely making sound where it wasn't before. Still not getting the ablation that I would like out of it. Actually going to clean my laser goggles off so I can go stick my face under the machine and actually watch and see. Sometimes you need to observe directly in order to make a good call. You can hear it. I mean, it's got the sizzle. It's just not chewing the way I want it to chew. Pop the goggles on. Let's go take a look at it and see what we are working with. It is marking. It's marking. It's just not ablating super well, and I'd really like a little ablation. So let's adjust again. Again, guys, really important concept here, just as far as patience goes. You can always add power, but you can't take it away. So we will reduce our speed to 750. We're going to up our power to 60. We're going to try to hit it again, see if we can get a little ablation on this. I'd really like to remove just a little bit of metal so that it has that kind of quality feel to it and it doesn't feel like it was marked with a CO2 laser. So let's try that. 750 speed, 60 power. Everything else is the same. Let's give it a shot. And there it is. You can hear it now. And get the mic down there so you guys can hear. That's what we want. That's what we want to hear. And it doesn't seem to be having any problem getting around the curve. We're finally through whatever that outer coat is. It's probably going to require a couple passes to even things out a little bit. But much better, much happier with this now. Now that we're through the outer coat, we need to be careful about the power we apply to this because the outer coat was what was reflecting all of that laser light away. So now that we've removed that outer coat, we still don't want to hit it too hard. I think one more pass, maybe at 80 power, same 750 speed, just to cement in this depth, and then we'll do something like a steel white finish to finish it off, brighten it up, and give it kind of an overall consistent look. What's up, Cyber? Good to see you. Always great to have you around here. We're still going to be doing these live streams. We're just, again, rewind. Go listen. Earlier, I talked a little bit about it. We're definitely going to continue doing jobs just with a more controlled flow, keeping the customers and the projects that we really enjoy doing and that are beneficial to the channel without necessarily being open to the public. And yes, as my wife just said, potentially hiring someone down the road when we actually have time to train them, which isn't now, but is also not never. So let's inspect our results here. They're really good as is, actually. We may not even need any sort of whitening pass there. They're looking pretty clean. I think maybe just a little 3-in-1 oil, and we'll be in fairly good shape. I think I'm gonna touch it. There we go, I just moved it. So now we're committed, because that's never gonna line back up. We're gonna grab just our normal oil rag and a little bit of 3-in-1 oil here, oil it up. Oiling obviously protects the brass. It gives it a little bit of a darker finish to it, a little more color. So I guess I'll show you guys the before here. There you go.
Oh, it looks good.
It's good, right? Yeah, me too. So here it is. There is the before for you. And we'll apply, again, a little oil to this, but it's nice and clean. We've got good edges thanks to our timing, and we didn't pound it right away, so everything is relatively clean. If you really pound these right off the bat, you get a lot of splash damage, you get a heat affected zone. Makes a big mess of things. So For these, I don't like just dumping oil all over them and scrubbing them with a toothbrush, which is what I usually do with the raw metal plates, but these aren't raw metal and we don't want to scratch that clear coat, so just a dab of 3-in-1 oil on the rag, and we're just going to very gently rub it in along the grain of the finish. This will clear out all of the carbon buildup and debris and leave us with a nice dark engraving. Really straightforward, basic stuff, guys. We've been doing this on the channel since day one. Here it is, the final mark on that. So you can see there's a significant color difference. It is not a trivial difference there. The 3-in-1 oil really makes a big difference. The brass just soaks it up, especially when we've ablated it and added all of that small pitting to it. It just grabs that oil and it holds onto it, even when you wipe it away with something like a rag. So with that, one of the 3 things that I wanted to get done on stream today is finished, which is good. So I will pass this back to you. There you go.
Thank you. I will contact the customer and let them know it is ready.
And then we are going to move over to the ultraviolet. So if you guys want to see some UV content, stick around. Don't go anywhere because UV time starts literally right now. I think we're going to take just a really short micro break. I'm going to get something to drink. I'm going to swap machines.
I would like to show you why we had to purchase another one of these very expensive products.
Oops.
Jimmy,
I
this
can't.
is,
Jimmy messed this up.
look at that.
That mark is supposed to go below the Gantry logo there. And you got to hide your face.
Oh, sorry.
It's got face tracking on.
There you go.
And Jimmy went ahead and messed this up for us. So now we own a Gantry power station. So thanks for the $200 expense, Jimmy.
Tell them
What's the
truth.
video called for timing? I'm sure that JMac or one of the other staff members would be happy to post that in the chat for you. I think it's just called timing for galvo lasers or something super simple like that. I'm not incredibly creative with my titles. They're pretty utilitarian. It should be in the Lasers 101 playlist on the main page. So anyway, we're going to switch machines. We'll be back in like 2 minutes. We'll do some UV work. You guys can see how the UV does with plastics. It's pretty impressive stuff. So I will see you guys in just a couple minutes. Okay guys, so we're back. We're ready to do some UV work. If you haven't seen it, it hasn't been on the channel very much, but here it is. It's our 5-watt Ingu source UV laser from Mactron. The thing's a beauty. It's probably my favorite, just aesthetically. It's really, really pretty to look at. The casing is so nice. The wiring is so nice. I love the gunmetal gray on literally everything. It's one of my favorite things that we have in the shop. That's an old jig that we had up from doing some perfume bottles, so we'll have to tear that down. There is one other thing that I've been meaning to do for a long time, and we're going to take care of that really quick here. So every time that I look at this UV laser, I see the same thing, and I simply can't resist doing this anymore. So we're going to do it today. It's been a long time coming, and I'm really excited that you guys could be here for this moment. It's a moment I'm definitely going to cherish for the rest of my life. Oh, this is going to feel so much better.
Amazing.
There we go. Oh yeah. That has needed to happen for so long, and now it's done. Losing your eyes there, buddy. Well, it is what it is. He looks a little doofy looking, but I'm pretty happy with it. So anyway, what are we doing here? We need to. Can you get the power station for me, please, honey? Thank you. We are marking some Gantry solar panel power stations, and in order to do that, we're going to have quite a bit of setup. That's all of the stuff on this pallet over here. That's all Gantry solar panel power stations. We did the entire run, and then Jimmy messed one up, and we had to order a replacement, and then we forgot that we had one on the shipping scale, and that you know, needed to be done as well. So we've got two essentially that need to be done, and then we can get this giant pallet out of here. It's been the bane of our existence. This pallet, in fact, is probably the main reason we decided to close. It was the straw that broke the camel's back, I suppose. It just overwhelmed us when it came in, and we didn't, you know, it's a long story. It's neither here nor there. The point is, we need to wrap this up and get it out of here so we can get on with our lives. All right, there we go. So perfume jig dealt with. I'm gonna hike you guys up a little bit because this is gonna be, I love those googly eyes already. It's gonna be kind of a big setup over here, but jigging is half the battle. I do have enough Jackeries to power a small country. that is absolutely accurate. So here's the box. Here's the target right here. This is very straightforward. It's a very simple logo. And we're not gonna go nuts jigging this up. It's a 2-off job. So we really just need to get it in there well enough that it doesn't move while we're marking it. We'll do all of our alignment by hand for both units that we need to mark today. We're working with the 175mm lens, which is my go-to lens for the ultraviolet since I've picked it up. I really like the 175. The scale for how much of a curve you can get around with each lens, the scale for depth of field, is far more dramatic on the UV than it is on something like the fiber, where on the fiber, you can, you know, it's kind of more linear, like as you go from 110 to 150 to 175, the difference in the depth of field feels very similar between neighboring lenses. The 110 on the UV is almost useless for anything that isn't perfectly flat. And I mean perfectly flat. The 175 does a vastly better job getting around things like those curves. And for that reason, I use the 175 pretty much on everything that the UV touches. It just works really well. So there it is. That's the basic setup, guys. There's not a lot to it. It's essentially just the power station. We probably went a little overkill on the camera angle there, because it's really not that complicated. There's a block down here. It says Jimmy sucks if you can't read it. There you go. Jimmy does suck. He's the reason that this cost us $200, and the reason we have to redo this unit today. So thanks, Jimmy, for sucking. But yeah, there it is, guys.
Now we'll have an emergency power.
That's right. Now we do have an emergency power source, so maybe we should be thanking Jimmy. That's it, guys. It's a block and a power station. It's not much to it. We're just angling it up just enough to get this section of the curve before it dips flat so that we can mark a logo on it. It's really straightforward. So let's get this set up in EasyCAD. Do you know if we stored the files for this on the local computer or on the cloud?
I think on the cloud.
Okay, well, we'll check. What's their folder name? Is it CleverTech?
Yes.
Okay. So let's pop over to the desktop. And let's find this CleverTech nonsense. I'm going to start with open, just in case I was smart enough to save an EZD file. I'm usually not. Oh, and look at that, I did. Clever girl. I'm funny. We'll open that up. It should be just sized and positioned exactly where we need it to be already. Again, it's not a complicated file. A lot of people have been asking me, why haven't I uploaded the CO2 Galvo or UV parameter libraries to the Laser Master Academy yet? And the answer is pretty simple. The real answer is that I have two settings for the UV that work on 99% of everything that I put in front of the machine. I've got a high power setting and I've got a low power setting. For the ABS plastic today, we're using our low power setting, which is a frequency of 30 and a pulse width of 16. That's it. I use this on precisely 50% of the projects that come across our desk that require the UV laser. The other one is if we take a look in the parameter library, which we can't do because Windows is still being weird. If we take a look in the parameter library, which will open eventually, because EasyCAD, this is the other one. This is my high-powered setting. It's also called the F175 glass frosted. A slower speed, frequency of 30, and a pulse width of 33. Very similar to the frequency of 30, pulse width of 16 over here. By lowering the pulse width, you know, we reduce our effective power a little bit. But that's, I mean, it's about it, guys. There's really not much to these machines. They're much simpler than the fiber laser. We can talk about hatch real quick. Right now for hatch, we're using a pretty standard bi-directional hatch. We're doing a cross hatch on this for the ABS plastic. If we don't do the cross hatch, we get some kind of weird artifacts. And if I can get the camera to focus well enough when we're marking these, you will see them after the first pass is completed. The second pass wipes them away. Same stuff, guys. In fact, the UV is probably easier to use than the CO2 Galvo. There's a lot of things that make the CO2 Galvo significantly different than using a fiber laser. The UV is almost exactly the same, less not having a actual power value that we get to set over here. the standard line distance is the same. The dot sizes for the associated lenses are more or less the same. So it's a much easier jump to jump into a UV than it is to jump into something like a CO2 galvo, which actually takes a lot of kind of like pivoting on your mindset. You got to kind of change how you're thinking about jobs when you're using the CO2 galvo. Not so much with the UV. But I digress. We're going to go ahead and move along here. I'm going to turn show contour off so that it makes it nice and easy to get some good straight lines we can line this up with. And that's about all we're going to do for this. We're just banging these out really quick, guys. So we'll go ahead and light this up. And with any luck, the UV will be lighting. I need to put my goggles on. The UV is extremely dangerous for a number of reasons, but none more than probably the fact that when you light something with the UV, can you get the lights for me, honey? These guys can't see this because it's too bright. When you have the UV and you light something with it, kick the pedal away so I don't step on it by accident, it does not light with the standard red dot laser. It's actually lighting with the actual UV laser itself, which means whenever you are lighting, whenever that idle dot is just sitting there in the middle of your workspace while you're jigging things up, whenever you're doing anything and the laser is on in any capacity, you are staring into ultraviolet light, which is, you know, obviously bad. We don't want to stare into ultraviolet light, so you really have to wear your goggles at all times. The good news is companies like No IR make goggles that block ultraviolet light, and they are not expensive at all. They're very, very inexpensive, actually. Here's a great pair from No IR right here, and you can see they're essentially clear. They don't really block any visible light at all, but they'll do a great job protecting your eyes from the UV. So that's about it on that. I just kind of wanted to mention that. I feel like it's important to mention to you guys. So all we're going to do is just kind of get this into a position where it is not actively crossing over the Jackery logo up here along the top. Another thing I'll mention, I used to be very afraid of skin exposure with this laser. I'm less afraid of it now, mostly just because this is UVA light. It's not UVB or UVC, so its ability to chew up my DNA and give me skin cancer is much more hampered than it would be with a higher energy ultraviolet beam. So, you know, I don't recommend this still, but I used to be a lot more afraid of it than I am now. I'm still concerned about my eyesight, but far less concerned about skin exposure than I was when we first brought this into the shop. So I just thought I would share that with you as well. But that looks relatively straight. I'm pretty happy with it. We checked the focus. There's not a lot else to do except mark it. So we'll go ahead and mark it really quick. It's pretty fun to watch these mark. Again, probably going to want just some exhaust going on here because it is plastic, and plastic likes to smoke and be gross. So I don't know, I'll probably just mark it and then run over and actually, you know what, I've got the foot pedal, so I can hold the exhaust up while I press the foot pedal. That'll be fine. So go ahead and just kind of hold this up here and start the mark. And there it goes. Really cool stuff, guys. It really is an incredible piece of equipment. It's so fun to use. It marks pretty much everything. I've really enjoyed owning this. The ability to do plastic so easily and efficiently has really kind of changed the name of the game. This would be much more difficult to orchestrate on the fiber. And the UV is, with the UV laser, it's kind of a joke. The UV doesn't care at all. You get great color, really, really good definition. Absolutely no melting whatsoever. So yeah, we're stoked. We're stoked that we have this. We're stoked it's in the shop. We're stoked with its performance. It's really been a great machine to have. So that was one. We've got one more to do, so I guess we'll just do a similar setup. I'll go ahead and light it in EasyCAD so we can see what we're doing. We'll put the second box under it, and we'll go ahead and get that one marked too. We did, just to be clear, have a full jig set up for this. We did 40 of these, honey? We did 40? Yeah, so we did 40 of these. So we did not manually align this each time for the bulk of the 40, but we are doing it for these last two, just because it's not really worth rebuilding a jig for 2 more pieces. So don't at me about how a jig would be easier. We're aware. I'm actually having trouble getting this one to sit still. Stop moving. There we go. Actually positioning my kind of stopper block underneath the feet is doing a better job here of keeping it from rolling back when I push it into position. Does that look straight? I think so. It's hard in the dark. You can't really see the UV beam that's actually lighting this up because it's on a dark ABS, and the ABS is absorbing all of the ultraviolet light. So it's a very dim reflection off of this material. Which is good for marking, but bad for aligning. And when you're staring at it in a dark room, it all just kind of starts to melt together. All right, I'm gonna call that good and stop messing with it. I think we're in good shape right there. Let's get this thing marked and get it out of the shop. Again, not really particularly concerned with focus here, just because that 175 does give us so much room to play there on the depth of field. And beautiful. That's it. We're done. There's the second box. Close enough to the first to be acceptable. There it is. Again, really just super clean mark, guys. It looks like printed on almost, but that's, you know, controlled melt right there. Really, really clean. Good results on that. So that's number 2. Done and done. That was a lot faster than doing that one little bracelet. We would have spent more time on this job if we had to jig for it, obviously, but we did all of that earlier. So let's see. Still should probably be covering exposed skin to be safe. Yeah, 100%. Jimmy, mystery. All right, sweet. Sounds good. So that's it. Plastic is done. So now we've used the fiber. We've used the UV. Last thing on the list today, the Aeon Mira 9. We're going to utilize to do a very simple bamboo project, but it's going to be one of the first times that Miranda's really going to get hands-on here with a Gantry machine. She learned how to use the Galva machines before she learned how to use the Gantry machines, and there's a plus side to that. Obviously, Galva machines have their complications, but one thing that they don't have is user origin positioning. So everything is absolute coordinates on a Galva laser. So, you know, where it is on the grid is exactly where it's going to go in real space. But when you are working on a Gantry system, you have the added complication of actually having to set your origin and telling the laser where to start. And I haven't really spent any time teaching her about that. So we're going to talk about that a little bit more as we get the bamboo project set up over here. Again, we're going to take a short break. We're going to switch from the UV over to the Aeon, make sure we've got all our files and stuff, and then I'm going to be walking Miranda through how to do that job. She's going to do it all on her own. So I'm going to try not to intervene unless I absolutely have to. We'll, of course, be doing a short lesson on user origins for CO2 lasers. So all of that and probably a little more. I'd love to show you guys around the marketplace and all of the improvements we've made coming up after the break. All right, guys? Hey, Josh, good to see you. We'll be right back. Okay, so we're back. We ran into a few problems. So we have a problem with the Mira. It's a pretty big problem for me. I like the Mira a lot. We've been using it a lot here. Basically, every time that we've needed to do anything with a CO2 gantry machine, hey JMac, we've done it with the Mira since it's come in. It's faster, it's more agile, it is more accurate, it's more consistent. But the one thing where it really, really fails is anytime that you have an item. Where's the lid? I need the lid.
It is in the bed.
Let me go get it. Anytime that you have an item with a lip or ridge all the way around the outside of the target area, the lens is so high up inside the Mira tube that the nozzle is basically touching the material. And that causes obvious problems. The Mira would be no problem for something like this, where it's nice and flat. But because the lens is so high up in the tube, so much of the tube is below the lens, you lose any ability to deal with things like this without slamming into the sides. Now, to be fair, the Mira has very, very high acceleration. So it doesn't have the same kind of overswing that the OhmTech is going to have for accelerating to speed and decelerating before returning. But is that worth a head crash? You know, I'm not going to do a bunch of testing and measuring and jigging for a one-off piece. It's just not worth it. So instead, we're going to be doing this job on old reliable, or old unreliable, I guess, the OhmTech. The reason why is because we have the lens much lower in the nozzle. So instead of the lens sitting up here, it's up here. And what that means is your focal distance is the distance from the lens to the material. So if the material was, you know, here before, when we move the lens down in the tube, that buys us more space or clearance for marking things. Now, we just tested it out, and the nozzle still doesn't totally clear the ridge here. It's still probably 1/8 of an inch too low. But 1/8 of an inch is an acceptable loss in focus. We can simply defocus 1/8 of an inch. We're still going to get a perfectly usable image. We'll be working with a slightly larger dot size than we're used to working with, but it's not going to be enough to actually kind of ruin this project. That's the first problem. Hopefully that explanation makes sense. The second problem is that we are now unsure if the customer wants this vertically or horizontally. All of the proofs that we've sent the customer have been horizontally, but now at the last moment, we've noticed this top writing here in pencil, and that is, you know, confusing. So we're not really sure what to do with this. Joseph asks, is this something you can do on the CO2 Galvo? Yeah, sure, absolutely. I don't know why I jumped right to the Mira. It was just kind of my first thought. I really wanted to be able to kind of start teaching Miranda about user origins on Gantry CO2 machines. We have a lot of Gantry CO2 users that feel underserved by the channel because we don't do Gantry content very often. So I usually gravitate towards that when we're streaming for those reasons. But there's absolutely no reason why we couldn't do this on the CO2 Galvo, or yes, the UV. The UV would handle this quite well as well. In fact, they'd be so good at it that I'm a little nervous that by the time we had everything kind of jigged up and ready to go, we will have not heard from the customer on whether they want this portrait or horizontal, and we'll just kind of be sitting around waiting, which, to be fair, is kind of what we're doing right now. Still nothing.
Nothing. Maybe you could go over whatever else you wanted to go through.
I'm out of job. That was the last one. I'm not doing Seek's stuff on the channel because we'll get demonetized, and I'm not gonna do. I guess we could do we still owe Mike Eastman plates?
Yeah, we had a couple plates from Mike Eastman.
We could do some really deep fiber laser engraving, if that interests anybody. It's not particularly exciting, but we do these little aluminum plates. They're cool. We go super deep for him because he likes to spray paint them and then grind off the paint. Have like a nice backfilled thing for the golf putters he makes or whatever. So we could do that.
Yeah, I think that's the best choice.
Do we have a phone number for this guy?
We do not. He is actually an all online customer and he never provided a phone number.
Super. Well, I'll give that back to you then. It sounds like we're doing some fiber laser stuff. So how many plates are we doing for Mike? What's the lowdown on that job? Mike. Hello, Mike. All right, let's see. Picking them up Friday. 4 more plates with the U.S. Prom Mini Golf logo on them. I need 2 large, 2 small. Please make the large outside diameter 1 5/8 inches and the small ones 1 1/4 inch. Sure, easy enough. We can do that, no problem. So let's go set the fiber up. Again, we're going to be using the 60 watt. The 60 watt has the power to get this job done quickly. I don't want to sit here all day with the 30 watt, though we could and have in the past. You know, it's going to take half as many passes with the 60 watt as it would take on the 30. And there's no sense in wasting time when we have the 60 at our disposal for something this deep. So we will go ahead and do this on the 60. Here are the plates in question. Again, there's nothing fancy about these whatsoever. They're about 1/8 of an inch thick. They're aluminum. That's it. Not that exciting, sorry. So I have kind of a setup file for these. I'm gonna go retrieve our EasyCAD camera so you guys can actually see what we're doing on the bed. Good enough. LOL, is it live? Just posted on Discord. Is what live? This? Right now? Yes, you're live right now. Okay, so EasyCAD. Let's take a look at EasyCAD. Can't you remove the nozzle tube on the gantry to get some clearance? Yes, on the OhmTech, no on the Mira. The Mira is all kind of built into one piece that like holds the lens. It's not really. There we go. We're back. So those were the AAA batteries that I put in the Movo right before we went to Vegas, and they actually lasted that long, which was incredible. So I just had to change the batteries. They're just like the rechargeable Rayovac ones, really good. So I'm actually impressed with that and not upset that my mic cut out, because that was pretty awesome. So anyway, what the heck are we doing? The 110 lens. We're putting the 110 lens in, so we can say goodbye to the 220. Oh, I over torqued it. There we go. Don't over torque your lenses, guys. So we're gonna say goodbye to the 220. We're gonna pop the 150 on there. I'm hungry. I'm ready for that sub. All right, let's see. I think the 110 was in the middle of the pile. So the 110, I mean, really kind of lets the actual power of this machine shine. I mean, it's impressive enough to see some mild ablation occurring on something like a 300 millimeter lens. But when you drop the 110 in there, it really kind of like just knocks you back. There it is, our 110 lens. Just how much power something like a 60 watt machine can output, you know, apparent power. Of course, it's always 60 watts, but the apparent difference in the output is immense. It's very impressive and exciting. So go ahead and get that locked into place. Let's find our focal stick. I really need some of James Brewer's little focal stick holders for the side of the table. It's a long way down from 220 to 110. There we go. So we're nice and in focus. That's the 60 watt M7. Yeah, 60 watt M7, yep. So let's jump over to the desktop. And what are we gonna do? We need to find Mike's folder. We gotta open it up. All right, I'm blanking a lot. I'm really focused on my hunger level right now. This will probably be the last job that we do for today's stream, because I need to eat. Let's see. Monroe Laser. Mike, really great guy. He makes custom wood putters. I don't think we've done his stuff on the channel before. He's a nice guy though. He makes custom wood putters. They're really high quality. What? Looks good to me, watching the monitor. Let's see, what are we doing? We want, let's just putter.ai. I don't know. I don't like it. Let's see if we have an easy 3 instead, because there's a lot of Illustrator files in there. I don't love it. On our laser, customers, Mike, Eastman. Okay, double, OD small, OD1, OD2. Let's open this one. I just want something with an outline, and that does not have it. Nor does that one. This one does. That'll get us close. I don't think these plates are the same size as that one, but it's close enough. So there's our outline. Pretty good. Let's light it up. Let's check it on the EasyCAD cam. Like I said, it's not an exact match, but it's close enough. We can easily resize that box. Just gets me in the ballpark. So it looks like we need a little more, both vertically and horizontally. And a little touch more horizontally. We're not using all this space. It's just to make it easier to line up So we don't need to come edge to edge on this anyway, which is part of what I was concerned about by using the 110 in the first place, is that the entire plate doesn't quite fit inside of this field. But again, it doesn't really have to. We just need it big enough that we can reliably center it, which I just did. So that looks good to me. There we go. Sorry, I didn't realize you guys were staring at the galvo head there. So that looks good. Let's get our artwork in now. Let's find our artwork. This is weird. Where did my cancel button go? It's just mark, so we'll just escape out of that. And import, cannot wait another day for Lightburn, for real. Where did you find that wear goggles sticker? That came on the machine, shipped with the machine. Though I'm sure you could just make one pretty easily on something like Redbubble. Corbel, Nan, custom putter. What happened to this artwork? I'm not really sure. Hold on, guys. Just looking for a little art. I rebuilt this art from scratch that I'm looking for now, and I can't seem to find it, so you guys might get a little Illustrator tutorial really quick. Oh, nope. Okay, there it is. Thank God. I really didn't want to do that. Okay, so we will ungroup this. We will get rid of that. We don't need that anymore. We need 2 copies of this this logo. He requests 2 large, 2 small. The large one's going to be 1 5/8. The small ones are going to be 1 1/4. So that's easy enough to do. 1 5/8. So bad at this stuff. So we're going to cheat here a little bit. 5/8 is 0.625. So we need a 1.625 inches to millimeters is 41.275. Great. Thank God for calculators. Imagine my math teacher telling me that I needed to learn math to survive in the world. She was a fool. So we'll go ahead and enter those. So there's our large one, easy enough. Let's make a copy, paste it, and get the small one. The small one's gonna be 1 1/4. That cuts a little bit of the math out for me. So 1 1/4 inches to millimeters, 31.75. Same thing, we're just gonna paste. It's a circle, so we're gonna paste it twice. Apply, great. We got a big one, we got a small one. We're gonna hatch them separately because we're gonna mark them separately. Hatch. Okay, so hatch. Handling hatches. How are we going to do this for depth? I have done this particular graphic with snake, which is what I would normally use when I'm trying to get as much depth as humanly possible. I wasn't thrilled with the results on this specifically, so I think we're going to settle for a bidirectional. Unidirectional is going to take far too long, way too long to get anything done. Bidirectional would be faster. Snake would be even faster, but again, I didn't really love how it came out. We can try it again. I haven't done it in a while. Line distance, 0.02, 0.025, whatever, same difference. We'll do the cross hatch just to break things up. If I really wanted to get crazy, we'd do auto rotate hatch angle, but I'm not feeling it right now. So enabled, we've got the cross hatch, no all calc, it kind of defeats the purpose of snake, no contour, 0.02 is a pretty standard line distance there. And we can do pen number 0. We don't really need to do anything else. And we'll hit OK. So with that done, the hatch settings are going to be identical for this one. They should be saved from the last hatch that we did, and they are, so we'll hit OK. So now we've got our small one and we've got our big one. We're going to do 2 of each. So there's the first one. And we already centered it up, so we don't really need to worry about that. We can get rid of all this jazz. Settings-wise, definitely not that. Let's come into our parameter library and take a look at the aluminum general. 1000 speed, 80 power, 25 frequency. Again, we mentioned this very early on in today's stream, but our peak output power or frequency for our pulse, the frequency at which our pulse power is the strongest, is 45. We really want that. We really want to kind of beat down on this thing. Again, since we're in a different copy of EZCAD, we're working in a different library, which means that even though we saved over the old timing parameters for aluminum general in our 300 millimeter or 220 millimeter lens library, it does not oversave for these. So we'll have to update these again as well. 75 there. I can't tab to this for some reason. 175 for laser off and 150 for polygon. We'll go ahead and save over that one in this library. So there we go. With that, we're done. That's basically it. We don't really have to do anything else. Where's OBS? Let's take a look at our view. This will be good to get us started. I may move it as we kind of chew through this thing, or maybe I'll move it for the second piece that we have to do. Either way, we're ready to get started. We've talked about it enough. So let's go ahead and mark it. For starters, I'm thinking somewhere along the lines of 15 passes with this setting is going to do some significant damage. So let's give it a try. It's really loud. I don't know if you guys can hear it. I'm sitting all the way over at my desk right now. It's not a joke. The 110 puts out some serious power. I'm even gonna, it's a lot of aluminum dust right now. It's kicking up a lot of dust and I don't really want to breathe that in. I'll even unclip the lav mic here. I mean, it's intense. It's really very, very loud, and that's just, you know, that ablation is hardcore that we're getting right now. Not a joke. The 110 lens with the 60 watt laser combo there. Pretty awesome. Very impressive. So I just, whoop, okay. That was scary. I know I've said this once already at least, but I'm so done with EZCAD. EZCAD's been doing this thing lately where after each pass, it literally stops and just sits there and does nothing for a few seconds. And then starts back up again. And it's super annoying, and I don't know why it does that. And that's it. We just do this 15 times. Then we swap the plate out for another plate. As slow as this seems, it will take even longer to do this with something like unidirectional or bidirectional hatch patterns. So we're saving ourselves a good chunk of time. When the 15 passes are up, we will probably do just 1 or 2 more standard unidirectional hatches. See, it pauses. I hate that. That drives me nuts. But we'll probably do 1 or 2 passes with the unidirectional to hide whatever weird artifacts are left over from Snake. because Snake always leaves weird artifacts behind. So we'll cover those up with a unidirectional pass, and then we'll move on to the next plate. Joe Smith says, LOL, my dog heard that and is completely focused on the engrave. Good, I hope he's learning something. So welcome to the hangout portion of the live stream. I'm actually sitting here looking at my computer instead of focusing on the job, so if you want to chat. Yeah, Paul, it certainly is like it's buffering when it stops. It only happens sometimes, and this isn't a particularly complicated vector, so I'm not really sure why it does it when it does it and why it doesn't do it when it doesn't do it. I don't blame the machine. I certainly don't blame the controller. I'm fairly sure it's a software issue. I would care more to fix it, but we've got light burn incoming. They've said since the beginning, quarter 2, 2022, and that is upon us now. So, you know, it could be the very beginning. We could see light burn tomorrow. We could see it at the end of the quarter. We're not really sure, but we're gonna find out. So, you know, that should be here soon, and then this will be a non-issue. How often do you use your CO2 Galvo versus the UV? I'll use the CO2 Galvo for wood, basically, is what I use it for, if I'm being completely honest. I don't use it for much else. It's very, 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 very good at doing wood very quickly and very repeatably. So when I am in that situation where that is the specific thing that I need to get done, the CO2 Galvo is very impressive and useful. The other place where the CO2 Galvo shines, of course, is tumblers. It's the absolute best tool for tumblers. So that is my go-to for tumblers still as well. The UV doesn't do tumblers so well because the UV, unlike the CO2 Galvo, will actually mark the underlying metal if you're not careful with how much power you're exerting. So those are the two things that I use the CO2 Galvo for. Literally everything else, if I'm using a Galvo laser for it, I will go to the UV. The UV is not very good at those two things that I just listed though. So it's very slow with wood. It marks wood very cleanly and very effectively. It's a beautiful mark when it's done. You can get more detail out of wood with the UV because of the smaller dot size that you're working with, inherently a smaller dot size. But it is painfully slow. It's really very slow with wood. So, you know, it's kind of a toss-up. For things like plastics and glass, the UV hands down. It's not even remotely close to comparable between the two. So Paul asks, I'm a hobbyist. What are we waiting for in regards to light burn? Light burn is supporting Galvo lasers, like the fiber laser that you're watching right now, which is something we've never seen before. Obviously, EasyCAD is a total piece of trash and everybody hates it. So we're really looking forward to being able to use light burn software with our EasyCAD controllers. I'd also like to point out that EasyCAD makes great controllers. There's nothing wrong with the control board. The control board's a fairly simple piece of tech, and it does a good job telling the fiber laser what to do. It's the software that is the nightmare with EasyCAD. And with Lightburn and their support of EasyCAD control boards, we'll be able to control our Galvo lasers with Lightburn software. That's going to make all the difference in the world. We're really excited to be able to do that. Yeah, no problem. Charlie Clapham says, have an Ohmtech 60 watt and installed a fence. Just completed 49 plaques and use a boundary box and put them in the corner. Yeah, that's a good way to do it. If you trust your bed, being able to do that is excellent. My bed is not even remotely close to straight with my rails, so I don't usually do that. I usually go for the alignment method, but hey man, if it's working for you, more power to you. Cyber says, man, I need to get off my butt and launch an Etsy shop. Not to mention my Shopify shop. Business here is dead because of COVID-19. Yeah, dude, online marketplace is the way of the future. Speaking of which, if you make products that other laser engravers would like to buy, for example, jigs, 3D printing files that you can use for fixtures, laser accessories, anything like that, definitely go check out our brand new laser-focused marketplace, shop.lasereverything.net. We're currently accepting vendor applications, so if you have something, even something like blanks, if you have blanks that you would want to sell, go ahead and check it out. I know Josh in chat here just signed up to be a vendor. He's going to be providing blanks for us over there on the marketplace. We're really excited to have you, Josh. So definitely, if you haven't already, go check it out. We should be opening the first week of April. We'll do a quick tour when this job is done, and I'll show you guys around real quick into all of the improvements and progress that we've made getting the marketplace set up. Kyle and I have been working tirelessly to get it running as well as we possibly can. There's still a lot more to do, but it's definitely at a place where I would be proud to show you guys the progress we've made. So we can take a look at that in a little bit here. Thanks for the link there, Patrick. I appreciate it. Did you eat yet? Did you eat?
I ate.
Oh, here's Rob Phillips from Advanced Racing Technologies, another one of the vendors over on the marketplace. We're really excited to have Rob. He is the one behind the awesome variable fence fixture system that we did in a live stream just a couple of days ago. We were showing that off. So another one of our awesome domestic vendors, Rob Phillips. Really excited to have you on the marketplace as well. Julio, the laser that we're using right now is the 60 watt. It's the 60 watt JPT M7. This particular build is from SFX Laser. It's a good machine. We're happy with it. Going on hour 2. I don't know if I'm going to do all of these on stream. This is a little excessive, but I'd like to show you at least how one comes out before we close out today and move on to other things. You can really start to feel the depth now looking at this. Even through the webcam, the depth is becoming apparent. That background noise level is still me sitting at my desk, by the way. I'm not even up next to it. It's very loud. It's looking really good though. I just walked over to take a look. It's looking very clean. Joe says, have you tried adding a stippling effect to the engrave area after reaching depth? No, I've seen people on the Discord do it. I haven't really had a reason to do it yet, which is why I haven't done it. But it doesn't seem to be that difficult. It could create like a simple diamond pattern or a super wide hatch with a big lens, which could give that kind of effect. That would be really cool. We can't test that out today because the customer is expecting this to be a very certain way. And that's kind of another reason why we're closing the shop, at least for now. Because if this was just a scrap piece of aluminum and we were doing a live stream showing how to do deep engraving and somebody like Joe suggested doing something like that, we could say, well, let's find out. And we could try it right here live on camera. But because this belongs to a customer, it kind of restricts what we're able to do. So. Just another benefit of closing the shop and doing projects that we put together, because it gives us a little more liberty to kind of branch off and try things like that on stream. But no, I haven't tried that yet. But I've seen people pull it off, and it does look nice. It's a nice look. We are currently on pass 12 of 15, so we're nearly done. We'll still, again, probably get those just 2 kind of cleanup passes to clean up any of the artifacts left by the snake hatch pattern that we're using. Again, the artifacting on that's kind of gross, but you know, it is what it is. It just saves us so much time. One pass right now is taking the machine 1 minute and 12 seconds. I'm sure that when we compare that to the cleanup pass with the unidirectional hatch pattern, it will be significantly longer. Here's I don't think that we've actually shown this off today, but here's the chunky. There she is, doing what she does, hanging out, being good, looking at stuff. I body shield the nugget from the fiber laser. Last pass. We're on the last pass now. What are you looking at? What's over there? She is learning the trade. I want to craft some little baby goggles for her. Those are a little too big. Usually my go-to move is like if a laser is running, I'll put her in the baby chair and then we'll push the baby chair under the desk so that she's literally blocked by the wood. It's a good place for her to like chill and hide from any kind of like rogue beams and stuff. But we're so far away from the desk, I'm not really worried about it right now. Right? We're not really worried about it right now. You doing good? You want to say hi to everybody? She's so cute, dude. Who are you looking at, Nugget? Are you watching EasyCAD be a piece of garbage? That's what she's like, staring intently at EasyCAD on the screen right now. Garbage. Garbage. Okay? garbage. All right, laser's off, so she's safe to leave the body shield area here. Okay, so it's done. I'm gonna switch to the EasyCAD view. We're gonna see if I can show you some of the artifacting that I'm talking about that occurs with the snake. It is really deep. It's really, really, really deep right now. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get it to focus well enough for you to see those lines. But basically, I mean, if you use, it's especially apparent right up here, right by the top of the U and the top of the A. You can see like a line there where it's just not doing as good of a job ablating it evenly. Again, very hard to get this webcam to focus that close, but the point is, we're gonna fix that right now with a unidirectional pass over the top. It should be pretty easy to deal with. So, build like a Pope mobile with some kind of laser protecting acrylic instead of bulletproof. Yeah, maybe something like that. So all we're gonna do is we're gonna come in here, we're gonna select something, maybe. Why are you doing this? We're going to select our graphic and we're just going to change this to unidirectional. That's it. That'll give us a really nice, clean, finished pattern on the end of it, and then we can get it off the bed, and that'll probably be it for today. But I'm interested now to see the difference in the runtime. The runtime with the snake pass, the optimized hatch pattern there, was 1 minute and 12 seconds. So I'm really interested to see now the runtime for the same exact mark with unidirectional instead. And you guys will see why we do the majority of our snake pass depth achieving with the optimized hatch pattern. It has everything to do with the time. Guys, we have 666 playbacks. If you guys haven't already, don't forget to smash the like button. It helps me get the live streams in front of more people. Liking the video counts as engagement. Leaving comments on the video also counts as engagement. So come back after the stream is ended. Don't forget to leave a comment to help boost engagement so we can get the channel and this information in front of more people. I really appreciate it. I see the likes rolling in now. Thank you so much for smashing that like button for me. It does make a really big difference. If you're not already, please consider signing up for the Laser Master Academy. It's the #1 way to support the channel. She got mad. Did you guys hear Coraline get mad? Sorry, I took a sip of Coke and now I'm being punished by choking. Excuse me. Please go check out the Laser Master Academy. It's the #1 way to support the channel. We got a bunch of bonus live streams over there, just like this one, just for Laser Master Academy members. We've got laser settings, we've got bonus episodes of the podcast, a bunch of other really cool things as kind of like a small thank you for just helping to support the channel and keep it going. So if you haven't already checked it out, go check it out. It's over at masters.lasereverything.net. Yes, I did apply the unidirectional hatch, Patrick. The runtime was 2 minutes and 30 seconds. So the unidirectional took almost twice as long. I don't want to just do one, I want to do two, so I'm going to start another one. EasyCAD is acting weird today. So there's the second pass, and that should get rid of all of whatever other artifacting is left over from the optimized hatch pattern we did earlier. But yeah, I did apply it, and that is obvious because of the runtime. Paul, yep, Paul May asks, at what point did you go from hobby to shop? There was no hobby point in this for me at all. It's a long story and I've told it many times, but I started doing this as an apprentice for someone else. And then they moved their business to a different state. I moved my family to a different state, and since we had moved and basically reset everything about our lives, we decided that it was the right time to take a risk and start our own business after doing this for someone else for almost 7 years. So it was never a hobby for me. I got a job doing something other than this, and the owner of that business decided to start an engraving company. And I kind of just worked for him by default, and that was my initial exposure. So I've always done this in a professional capacity. I've never done it as a hobby. Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, EasyCAD has this normal weirdness, but it's doing weird things that it doesn't normally do today. Lightburn literally cannot come soon enough. Speaking of which, Rob is asking me, will Lightburn have the issue corrected so you don't need to do this cleanup? No, not really. The whole thing about optimized fill is the way that it goes about filling in the lines. And we could get technical about this if we want to. It's probably better saved for like an actual full-length video. But essentially, because we're filling an entire filled area, for example, the ring around this this logo here, unidirectional fills that entire ring in one go. When we do this same ring with the optimized hatch or the snake pass, it does little bits and pieces of that ring at a time, and it has to go away, mark something else, and come back and do more of the ring, and then go away and come back. And that leaving and returning is what causes those artifacts. So it's not really something to be fixed. It's just kind of a consequence of moving that quickly. There's always going to be a trade-off between quality and speed when hatch patterns are concerned. So I don't expect Lightburn to be fixing that. It's not really something that needs to be fixed. It's more of a side effect of something that needs to be cleaned up, just because of the nature of the speed at which we're accomplishing it. Hey, I opened your live on my 4 devices. Okay, I'm glad you like it so much, 4 devices. Just a fast question. If I can't get to a really good white on stainless steel, what param or what can I do to achieve it? Thank you. Sure, this is where I would start actually. Let's pop back into EasyCAD and I'll share this with you really quick. This is for a 30-watt laser with a 110mm lens. Just to preface this, so you're gonna have to, you know, it'll get you in the ballpark, but it's not gonna be perfect depending on what you're using. But I really like the steel white finish. It's right here. Open it up. 750 speed, 25 power, 45 frequency. Does a very nice job whitening not only steel, but it also does a really nice cleanup pass on brass, aluminum, and even titanium. It does a fairly good job. So that's what I use. No frills here. Make sure your timing is set correctly. Standard laser everything hatch will do fine, 0.025 or 0.02 on the line spacing with a 45-degree cross hatch and a unidirectional hatch pattern. Should be great for you. So go ahead and give that a try, and hopefully that helps you out. I almost just closed this, which would have been a catastrophe because I have a lot more of these that I need to run. But we're approaching the end here, guys. We're nearly done today. Yeah, shitty CAD too, no joke. Don't know if it's my laptop. It's quite old, but upgraded to 1 terabyte SSD and 8 gigabytes of RAM. I mean, it certainly helps. EasyCAD 2 is a 32-bit piece of software, so it can only use up to 4 gigabytes of RAM on your computer. But having extra RAM helps keep overhead for systems, you know, utilities and services running in the background without interfering with the 4 gigabytes of RAM you're allocating to EasyCAD. So more is always better. Anyway, guys, let's take a final look at this, and we're going to wrap it up. I might give you just a very short tour of what we've done on the marketplace so far. There's not a lot to see, but you know, I'm excited to show somebody. So, damn, that's so deep. Normally I would blow this out with the blower. I'm not going to do it right now because we're live and I've given you guys enough of a headache already today. But we'll just try to knock out what we can out of this. That is just super intense. It looks really good. Let me see if I can get this looking fancy on the screen there for you. So there it is. And you can really see there, we've achieved quite, just kind of put my elbows down, quite a bit of depth on that. It's really looking super good. It's nice and sharp. The letters are just blasting right out of that aluminum. If I can get it somewhere where it just makes it look a little more impressive. Still photo on like my computer would be better for this, but see if I can just turn off the overhead light there. It might, it's a little better. The depth of field on this camera is really shallow. There we go, that's a nice view. That really kind of sells it right there. So yeah, and we didn't do anything particularly special to achieve these results, guys. We just used the right lens with the right machine. We could have doubled up on passes and done this on the 30 watt, and that would have been fine. There's nothing wrong with using the 30 watt for this kind of work. It just takes longer. So that's fine too. I've got a similar spec laser, Cyber says, and I haven't even done deep engraving like that. I'll have to give it a shot sometime. Yeah, definitely do it. How deep is it? I don't know. I don't really trust depth gauges on calipers to give us any kind of real number, but we can give it a shot. Caliper says it's about a mil. So we're about a millimeter on that, which is not a whole lot, but certainly not nothing. So that's about a millimeter deep, and we did it in 15 passes. I think that's the impressive part. You know, we could put a hole in this if we wanted to. We can engrave all the way through it. You just have to let the laser run long enough. The fact that we got a millimeter off of it and we did it in 15 passes is the part that's impressive. And the reason we were able to do it so quickly, again, is because of that optimized hatch. Once we got to the depth that we wanted, we cleaned it up with unidirectional. I can't see any of those artifacts left by the snake pass left. They've all been dealt with by the two unidirectional hatches. And maybe while I just sit here and talk to you guys for a second, I'm going to try to actually get like a photo of this. Well, that just doesn't look very nice on. There we go. Okay. And the actual finish behind it is fairly good. It doesn't, you know, the edges are a little rough. I think if we had done a little bit less power, I'm just going to let these sync to the cloud real quick, and then I'll pull them up on my screen so you guys can see them. If we had done just a little bit less power, we probably could have gotten slightly cleaner edges. I think we have a little bit of splash damage going on there, a little bit of like a heat affected zone. I like to call it splash damage. Probably could have been improved a little bit, but it's not bad. It's certainly not bad. It's perfectly good, and it's what the customer is expecting, which is the important part. Just trying to get these to sync. I'd really like to show you guys the photos of the actual mark, because it looks so much better with the still. It looks more like what it looks like in reality with the stills available to us. So I'm just going to keep, yeah, there we go. Okay, so here is the actual mark right there. So you can see we have a really strong kind of like grain pattern in here from the aluminum. That looks quite nice. Our edge quality is good. There's decent detail around the edges of the letters. Our engravings are at more or less a 90-degree angle. We do have a little bit of like angular deflection from, you know, just the fact that we're using an F theta lens in order to direct the beam, but for the most part straight, which is ideal. The 110 lens is really helping with that. So overall, really clean. I took one just a little bit closer there. So just a little bit more detail on that edge quality there. And it does look really nice. So I'm pretty happy with that. I'm pretty happy with the way that it's come out. So let's see. Got an idea for an episode, a rubber stamp thing. I'd love to do rubber stamps. That would be really cool. There's so many different ways to do that, and I haven't really assessed which way would be appropriate for the channel yet, but certainly something I'm willing to look into. Branding iron for woodworking, certainly doable. Steel takes much longer than aluminum for obvious reasons, but definitely doable. Would love to get a video of this on LMA. Do a lot of this sort of work, and looks like I'm not using the right patterns. Yeah, well, you're always welcome to rewind this one too, Javier, and take a look at what we did just a little bit earlier in the episode. It could really help you out. Hatch patterns are everything. Did you learn laser first before buying equipment, or did you jump head first in and learn as you went? So me or my old boss had no idea what we were doing when he bought laser engravers, but he bought them. I didn't spend my money on them, so I got to kind of learn under his wing before moving on and purchasing my own equipment. So that was a really big advantage. Nice dimpling. Yeah, it looks good. All right, well, I think that's it. If you guys are interested, I'd love to show you around the marketplace really quick. It's really coming along. I'm super proud of it. You can visit it right now. You can't make purchases yet, but you can check it out over at shop.lasereverything.net. Everything that you see on this screen, I built by hand. We've put a lot of work into it to make it look professional, clean, and welcoming, user-friendly. It took a long time to get this thrown together, but we're really excited about it for obvious reasons. We're going to carry a lot of different items here. We've got a lot of different machine manufacturers already signed up. We've got some digital files and lenses and blanks, and I mean, it's just a laser-focused store. You can see I just kind of threw some mock ads in here just to kind of pretend to get things where they wanted to be. You can see we still have this Surface Pro 6. We're not selling the Surface Pro 6, but that's just still kind of like the old default ads in there. We're going to have a blog. We've got a bunch of stuff. If we take a look, let's take a look at some of our vendors. ART here, Rob Phillips is going to be selling some of his jigs and fixtures. Our staff member, Chris, is the owner of Cartesian Crafts. He's got some really cool 3D printed jigs or 3D files to print your own, concepts to creations, custom engraving plates. This is my actual engraving plate supplier. His name is Mark, really cool dude. So he'll be selling some basic laser engraving blanks, aluminum and brass. Digital impressions, we've got Mactron. Mactron signed right up immediately, and they've already got a laser actually on the marketplace, which is really exciting. Jimmy's here. We got GP Raceworks and their laser enclosures. We've got CK Laser, who's already begun adding laser machines to the lineup. Gulf Coast Laser Engraving, lots of jigs and fixtures from them. Hangar 13, Heavy Metal Blanks Co. Really nice guy. Reached out to me, found us on Instagram, has an Etsy shop where he sells literally heavy metal blanks, and he agreed to sign up and be a vendor for us here on the Laser Everything Marketplace. So we're really excited to see what products he adds. J&J Custom Treasures sells the focal sticks that you guys are used to seeing. They are the focal stick provider for our community. Really awesome guy, James Brewer. Really cool dude, so we're excited to have him on. JCZ EasyCAD Official, so we'll be selling EasyCAD boards. If you need an EasyCAD 2 board to downgrade from EasyCAD 3, they'll be supplying it right here on our marketplace. We've got our own little shop. It's mostly for test purposes. We might sell one or two basic things. We might move our merch over to this shop depending on how things go. Or I might just delete it. I'm not really sure. Andrew from Lasers Only is here. We've got Patrick, Light Source Engraving, who's putting together an air assist kit for Galvo lasers, super interesting. MLS, another vendor here, as long as NB Wood Burning, both providing jigs and fixtures. We've got the Wisely Laser guys have signed up, and they're going to start producing some listings here with machines too. It's really cool. We could do this all day, but you know, you'll be shopping from individual vendors who have their own products that they want to offer to you. We'll have a rewards point system. We'll have gift cards. I mean, all the normal things that you would expect. It's another old ad for the iPhone XS. Not what we're here for. We've started building out our categories page. So we've got laser machines, laser parts, electronics and tools. We've got all kinds of engraving blanks, jigs and fixtures, project supplies, and digital projects and services. There will be a booking app built into the Laser Everything Marketplace where you can offer things like laser training or design services by the hour, as well as different artwork and 3D files as well. So that's it. You've seen most of it. It was very hard to get to this point. I can't undersell the amount of work that we put into it, and we're immensely proud of the progress that we've made so far. And I'm really, really excited to have the chance to share it with you. So more updates on that as we go along. Again, sales are not active right now, so you can't actually buy anything, but if you want to go check it out, you guys can go check it out. I am self-taught. That's true. I'm self-taught in most things in life. So feel free to check that out. If you want, by the way, if you'd like to become a vendor on the marketplace, applications are open. Anybody can apply. It's open to everyone. Check out this button right here. Become a vendor. Boom. It's right there. We've also got links on the Discord. There's 3 different channels for marketplace vendors. Very easy to fill out an application to apply for a vendor account. Basically, everyone who's applied has been approved. We're really excited to have you guys. We want to have you there with us on the marketplace, helping to supply people with the stuff that they need to operate their laser businesses. So we're really looking forward to having you. Really needed that. That's it. That's all I've got. Don't forget to check out the Laser Master Academy if you want to support the channel. You like what we're doing around here and you want to see it continue. It's over at masters.lasereverything.net. Everything you need to support the channel. Bunch of bonus goodies as a thank you for making sure I can continue to do this. We're almost at 1,400 members over there, which is insane. We just passed 1.3 thousand members on our Facebook group. We just passed 3,000 members on our Discord server, which is just unreal. The channel, did we hit it? Let's see. Let's switch over to the break screen. Oh, whoa, it just updated. 14,988. We're so close to 15,000 subscribers on the channel, which is a huge victory. So thank you guys so much for hanging out, being a part of this, encouraging us to take this full time and being there for us along the way. Really means the world to me. I had a blast doing these jobs. I'm gonna knock out the rest of these so that you guys don't have to sit here and watch them run for 3 hours because it's gonna be horribly boring. Hopefully we hear back from the bamboo guy. I'm gonna pack up those Jackery solar panel power stations so we can get that freaking pallet out of here. I think that's it, guys. I think that's all I've got. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you in the next one. Have a great day.